One of the fantasy football seasons finally here, and it's time to talk about defenses. So here's a few defenses. I would start this week. The first one, the Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts here, great defense last season, up there in turnovers, up there in sacks. And week one, a nice matchup indoors at the Houston Texans. Obviously, you're going to have a lot of trouble once again this season moving the football and putting points on the board with Davis Mills going into the year as a quarterback once again after trading Deshaun Watson in the offseason to the Cleveland Browns. Even though right now it's looking like it's a good move with Watson suspended 11 games and them getting a lot of draft picks in that deal. I believe 4 or 5 first-rounders. But anyway, this Colt team, they're going to come out in week one. They're hungry. They're ready to go. And this is a team that definitely can compete this season and possibly make a good playoff push. And it starts with Darius Leonard and this defense and obviously Jonathan Taylor on offense. And this one here in week one in Houston, they're going to be a top 5 defense when it's all said and done this week here. Davis Mills is going to be running early and often for his life in this one. Texans offensive line's weak. Wide receivers, besides Brandon Cooks, they really don't have anything. And tight end, I know they signed O.J. Howard, but let's see what he could do as well. And a lot of buzz around Dameon Pierce as well, but I still think Indianapolis goes out there and takes care of business. And they're going to be a defense this week that finishes in the top 5, I believe, and a defense with double-digit points. The second defense I would start this week's the Baltimore Ravens. So what a week one matchup here for Baltimore. I know they go to New York, but this Jet team, I don't know what you're going to see from them. Their offensive line, I know they improved, but then Mikael Beckham, he's going to be out possibly for the whole season. I know they signed Dwayne Brown, but this Jet team has a lot of deficiencies. Joe Flacco looks like he's going to be starting here in week one unless Zach Wilson gets on the practice field and could play here in week one, but it's still a far-fetched thing. But either way, Wilson or Flacco, I think this Raven team's going to feast, and this is a team that's going to try to make an impact this season after last season falling apart with Lamar Jackson going down and their defense not stopping anyone. So right here, week one at the Jets, I think they're going to be focused. I think they're going to go out there and make plays. And like I said, this Jet O-line, they did improve, but a lot of people overrating it as well. And they still don't have great weapons on the offense besides Elijah Moore and Breece Hall. A lot of pop coming into the season. But if you don't have an offensive line, you're going to have trouble. So I think this Raven team could possibly finish the week here as the number 1 defense in fantasy football. And I think they have a huge ball game, no doubt about it, versus the Jets. And they are must start this week. Defense, the Tennessee Titans. So the Titans, they're versus the New York Giants here. In Tennessee, we know last season at home, their defense was way better at home than on the road. And Daniel Jones, he's going to have trouble in this one. I know the Giants, just like the Jets, they improved the O-line a little bit, but I still think they're going to have problems at the wide receiver problem. Kenny Golladay, I don't think he's that good anymore. He's injury prone. Kadarius Toney, we saw great flashes from him last season in his rookie year, but he's not 100%, and he's just a guy that can't stay healthy. And Saquon Barkley, he's another guy, great talent, but injury prone as well. And also a guy, I know he's in a contract year, but this Titan team, I think their game plan in this one is going to stop Barkley and try to have Daniel Jones try to hit those wide receivers in this one. So I think the Titans can feast in this one. If they get off to an early start, this is where this defense really tees off. And they're going to be a defense that finishes in the top 10 this week. Here's Tennessee. And I would have confidence playing them and streaming them this week. The next defense, the New Orleans Saints. So the Saints here, great matchup at the Atlanta Falcons, a team totally rebuilding and going into the year with Marcus Mariota as their starting quarterback. So Mariota, I don't think he's thrown a pass in the last few seasons. I know the Las Vegas Raiders last year used him as a gadget guy and a short yardage guy on the team. But I don't even know if he threw a pass. But anyway, Atlanta, a lot of young guys. It's the rebuild in effect there. Matt Ryan's gone. And this Saint defense, a pretty solid defense as well. And I had them in the top 10 coming into the season in my defensive rankings. And right here, they're going to be a top 7, top 8 defense, I believe, this week here. With a good matchup at Atlanta. Marcus Mariota, they're going to force to try to beat him. And at running back, they even have some issues as well, is Atlanta. Cordell Patterson, could he handle the good workload once again? At wide receiver, you got Drake London. I know, and then you got just a bunch of other guys over there. So Kyle Pitts and London, the 2 main options on the offense. But I think it's going to be a disaster here for Marcus Mariota. And I think the Saints tee off and have a good ball game. And the 5th and final defense I like a lot this week here to start is the Denver Broncos. I like a lot of Broncos across the board this week starting at all the key positions and their defense as well. Seattle got Geno Smith as their starting quarterback this week here. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to stop Rashard Penny or Kenny Walker, whoever's going to get bulk of the carries, and they're going to make Geno Smith try to beat him. And I think anyway, the Broncos get off to a huge start in this ball game, up 10, 14 points early, and then this defense goes to work and tees off on Geno Smith, where they're going to be a defense putting up points early and often. And even overall this season, I think this Denver Bronco defense is going to have a good season here. So right now, Denver got a great matchup at Seattle. Geno Smith, not a starting quarterback, but they're going into the year with him at starter, where it's going to be type of a tank job this year for Seattle. And then next year, try to find their quarterback. But anyway, this Bronco defense, they're going to be rejuvenated. Well, Wilson is their quarterback. Wilson's first game in Seattle and first game as a Bronco. So overall, I think this Denver team at the wide receiver, running back, quarterback position, all monster games. And the defense in this one is going to at least hit double digits. That's a few defenses I would start and special teams units here in week 1 of the fantasy football season.